Aloha and welcome to the second part of the mock-up design process for RadGrad this semester. And things are going to get a little more interesting this week. Last week we just had you do paper mock-ups and we weren't too concerned about, or we were asking you to be innovative, I guess, with respect to what would be represented on the page and how it'd be represented. And for this week we're gonna kind of constrain things a little bit more. First of all, we're going to choose to use materialized CSS as our design framework. That may not be the best framework, but let's just all try it out and see how we feel about it. And if it poses problems, then we'll have to move to something else. But we won't know if we don't actually make some effort. The other thing that we have this week for you guys to fool around with is a copy of the Geek Labs Material Design Admin template, which I bought and licensed for use just by the students in this class. So if you're finding this on the web, you can't use this. But we do have a license for the RadGrad project, and it provides some nice little widgets that you can see for use in admin templates. And I think these kinds of things might be very useful in the RadGrad system. And so I wanted to give you some example implementation of, for example, this little orange thing here with a little slider. That could potentially be really cool for some RadGrad widget. And so you can dig around in this code and find how they implemented that specific thing. So hopefully that will be useful to you. And that's available here, and it's a private repo, so only the developers in this class are going to be able to actually access this code. And as I say, you shouldn't be using it for anything other than this project. We're also going to restrict exactly what these pages are going to contain. So I'm talking about the minimum viable product. Actually, I think the system's going to require more than just these 10 widgets to be a minimum viable product. So it's kind of the first pass toward the minimum viable product. But I think if we can get these things working well, we'll be off to the races with respect to actually getting to the MVP. The last thing I want you to look at is this thing called the Data Visualization Catalog, which is pretty cool. It's a lot of different visualizations, some of which you might not have seen before, like circle packing. And it not only explains what the visualization is, but it gives you links to tools that you can use to actually build these things. So I'm including this because I think you might find that some of these visualizations will be inspiring to you with respect to how could we show something in RadGrad. So those are the readings, and then what I want you to actually do this week is work in small groups to implement either the landing or the home page as specified in the MVP page specifications. Here's your group members, and then I've created a repo for each of you guys to use. It's a public repo in the RadGrad organization, and actually all people in the class have access to the repo, but just work in the repo that you're working in or that you've been assigned. And the idea is that you'll actually create your mockup in the GH Pages branch. And the reason why that's cool is because then GitHub will render the mockup for you, and it makes it very easy. So here's an example of that. I've got this little repo called Materialized CSS Mockup. Notice nothing going on in the master branch, but if you switch to the GH Pages branch, what you find is there's a copy of the materialized starter demo thing. And what makes this cool is that if you go to the organization or the account.github.io/repo name, okay, if you go to that URL, you actually see the rendered version of what was in the index.html file. Okay, so by doing things in the GH Pages branch, it's just a lot easier to actually see what you built because GitHub's going to render it for you. You don't have to download the repo and then load the index.html into your browser locally to see what's going on. Of course, you may do your development that way, but in terms of so what I would suggest you do is do at least 3 group meetings prior to next Tuesday's class to work on the project. And if you do that, maybe you can do all the work for this project actually in a group, which would be fun. Next Tuesday, I want to review what you've accomplished so far. Next Thursday is the final version of your mock-up, and then you'll also have a technical essay following that. So that's the work for this week. Hope you enjoy it. I'm expecting it to be a lot of fun, and let me know if you have questions.